Hello. So last week, oops, I'm showing the game view. Last week, you guys were meant to place 3 characters within your scene. You should have just followed a video so that you have the same machine. We're going to be creating virtual cameras, but before we do that, we want each of the characters to have an object in it that the camera can follow. So virtual cameras need someone to look at, or something to look at. So we have to create something within each of the characters for it to look at. It's basically going to be empty. I can't remember. I don't think we've used empty game objects yet. Oh, you did when you did the organization thing. So each of these characters is going to have an empty game object. Basically as we'll call it a transform that it's going to follow. So I'm going to right click on the runner here and do create empty. And I'm going to rename it. Notice it has a transform of 0, 0, 0. We want that because we want it to be centered within the runner. Actually, we could raise it up if we wanted to. So if we wanted to maybe follow where its eyes are, we can change the transform a little bit in the y-axis. But first, let's rename it to runner follow. So we're, like I said, this is an object that is empty, so it's not going to have anything in it. You can see that it's here, so it does have a location. I can maybe bring up the whole empty object a little bit, so it's kind of at eye level. I think that's at eye level. It's sort of hard to see, but yeah, I would definitely keep the X and Z at 0 because that stayed center within his body, but we may want it looking in the eye. So that's good for this one. I will remind you that if you hit a game object in your mouse, if you select a game object here in your hierarchy and you put your mouse on the scene view and hit F, it will take you right over to that character. So I'm right clicking so I can look at this character this way, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to right click on the lifter, create empty, rename it. I'm going to call it lifter follow. I'm thinking 0, 0, 0 is a good point for this character. So I'm done with the lifter. I'm done with the runner. Let's hit the boxer, hit F. Whoops. Notice my F didn't work because my mouse wasn't over here. So my mouse is here, hit F. Now I can see my boxer. I want to get to the face of her. My original camera's here, just because we wanted to see it at one point. I'll ignore the camera for now. I can't really zoom past it. So I'm going to right click on the boxer, create empty. I'm going to bring this one up to eye level too. Probably about there, maybe 1. I'll leave it at 985. Okay, and rename this to boxer follow. Now each of my characters has an empty object inside that a virtual camera can follow. So if you haven't guessed yet, you're going to have a virtual camera for each character. So what I'm going to do next is I'll create the virtual cameras. Actually, I'm going to stop this video. No, I'm not going to stop the video. Okay, so next thing we're doing, we want virtual cameras, 1 for each player. We're going to right click here. It makes sense, as you've seen with the organization assignment, to keep everything organized. So I'm going to create an empty game object. I'm going to make sure I'm going to 0 that to 0, 0, 0. And I'm going to name this CM for Cine Machine Cameras. Okay, now I'm going to make a camera for my boxer. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to take my main camera and I'm just going to move it to the center of the room, or center of the room-ish. It's not that important because we're going to end up using visual cameras. So, whoops, not sure why that happened. So I want to go back to the boxer. So I'm going to hit F, get back on the boxer and pull her out here because I'll probably do the camera for them. Now we're going to want to see the game view and the scene view at the same time. So I'm going to click here to select my game tag and I'm going to pull this and I'm going to dock it in the bottom. So right now I'm seeing through the lens of the main camera because it's the only camera I have. Once we get virtual cameras in, we'll see their view. Okay, so we're going to add the first camera and I'll probably end it because I got to find you guys in class. So, whoops. I can highlight that. Hopefully this works. I'm clicking this because this is where I want my first virtual camera to go. And we use the Cine Machine menu for that. So we're going to create a virtual camera. It didn't put itself in the menu, but that's okay. I'm going to call this Cine Machine Boxer Cam. Okay, and I'm going to drop that in to my Cine Machine folder. Okay, now if we look over here at the Boxer Cam, we can see it's looking for a transform to look at and follow, which is why we made the Boxer follow thing. Let me do that. So follow, and we also want to look at. So I'm going to bring that over to look at. And now you can see it is indeed looking at the Boxer. Obviously, we still want to reposition the camera, but that virtual camera right now is behind the Boxer. So now I can pull it this way, and now it's in front of the Boxer, and curiously enough, it when we brought it from the front of the Boxer to the back of the Boxer, it automatically flipped itself around to look at the Boxer, which is why it's so great to have this transform here. I'm going to stop there. Hopefully this saved because this thing here, this error causes problems. So